first live stream in quite some time. And yeah, we're gonna throw some pots, talk a little bit, and yeah, you guys can ask questions, uh, give feedback, comments. Can even ask me what you'd like to see me make, because I've got several things in mind, but I'm open to things. If people want to see something specific made, I'm open to suggestions. I've got my stream pulled up on my iPad over here, so I can see the comments a little easier without having to mess with my screen on this side. So anyway, I was just before I ate some lunch, I was throwing some planters. So I'm going to throw a few of those to start with, or a couple of those to start with, and then I was thinking I'd throw some kind of 4 pound platter bowls, and I can also give you guys kind of a little, maybe a little tour of a few of the things that I have made already for this next wood firing. But it's coming up pretty soon. First weekend in March is when we'll be firing. I've got a show the end of March in Hickory, and then in April I'll have my kiln opening sale along with the celebration of spring here in Seagrove, the event that we have here in Seagrove. So anyway, that's that. And yeah, let's get started throwing. I will, I guess, adjust the camera a little bit. You probably won't be able to see me, but you should be able to hear me. I guess let me know first if you can hear me, because I'm just here talking. I have my sound down on my laptop, on my iPad, because I don't want to hear echo of myself. So as long as you can hear me, let me know, and I'll adjust the camera so that it can be pointing at the wheel, and then we'll get going. So. Let's lower this. All right, good. Thank you, Sherry, for that confirmation that you can hear me. Got some 3 pound clay balls. I got a few of those. I guess 3 or 4 of those over here, and then I have some 4 pound clay balls for those platter bowls. Hey, Sally. Hope you're doing well. You did end up getting a replacement of the apple piper too, right? I know we talked about that at one point. And if you did, I hope you're enjoying it. Well, sorry to hear about the hip replacement. But I know one of the great things about it is that they're pretty amazing at it these days. They get you up and moving like the same day. So, hello, David. All right, good to hear it, Sally. Have you gotten any more presents from the little 4-legged baby? You mean, has she had puppies? No, and we don't want any of those. One is enough. And if you mean presents for her, yeah, I mean she got things for Christmas. I had a customer offer to make her hand make her a sweater, and sent me an email and asking for her body size, and I kept forgetting about it, and then forgot about it until just now again, and so I never got her the information to make Macy a sweater. So I need to do that at some point. Find the email. Oh, yeah. Okay, I got what you're saying. Yeah, she's definitely digging up stuff all the time around here. She did get a mole recently, and yeah, all kinds of other things that she ends up finding. Critters, that is. So these are planters that have a hole in the bottom, and I'll make trays separate for these. I also maybe I'll make two of these, and then I'll make use the other 3 pound clay balls, and I'll make a couple that have the tray attached, so that you can see how I did that. I've made a video about that, but so that's the one with the hole in the bottom, as you can see. Also, in my last video, I asked, and I got several comments back of suggestions of what kind of videos or content you guys would like to see, whether it was something that I've done before that you'd like me to redo, or something you've seen somewhere else that you'd like my take on a certain thing. Also, maybe if you've never seen a video on something and you just like to see it, I would love that feedback. Some of the comments I got back would be harder than others, especially when it comes to glazing and kind of things like that. There are just certain videos that are a lot harder to make, but I'll work on it. Oh, Craig, you got a chance to make a hanging planter. Turned out great. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, that's something else I need to make for this next firing, because it's coming up on springtime here, and will be time to sell some planters for sure. Good morning, Cynthia. Or good afternoon, sorry. You said good afternoon. It is afternoon, it's not morning. I try to leave the rim on these planters pretty thick. I think they look better that way, and you get being a planter, well, it depends on, if you get things switched around in them, they definitely get used a lot, but I think they just look better. Also, if I want to stack them rim to rim in the kiln and put wads in between, that wide rim really helps with that. I don't do that often, but if I got a pair that match up and they work with the height of a certain area in the kiln, then I like to do that. there. Welcome from Brazil. Thank you so much. Glad to have you here. I don't speak Portuguese, so I'm assuming you speak English because you wrote in good English, so. Alright, we'll use the last two 3-pound clay balls to make 2 with the tray attached. I haven't made any of those yet. Usually I make the smaller planters that I make, usually like 2 pounds and under with the a tray attached, but I'll do a couple 3-pounders that way. Might help if I had a bat. Daughter competed in 2016 Olympics and loved it. Yeah, I think I remember you telling me that. That's very exciting. Not many people get to say they competed in the Olympics, that's for sure. What sport was that, Sally? So on the planters with the tray attached, you have to first separate out the clay for the tray before you make the middle. And so after I get it centered, I'm going to work on, I kind of use my thumb and I squeeze together and kind of push down in this area here to separate some clay out for the tray. See, I'm pushing in with my thumb right there to make that spot, and then push down, kind of flatten out that clay that's going to be the tray. You don't have to make the tray yet, but you need the clay sitting there waiting on you. Wow, she won gold in Tokyo women's 8 rowing. Wow, that's, well, even a smaller percentage can say they competed and won, and then an even less can say they won gold. So that's pretty amazing. I think I left a bit too much clay there for the tray. But we can cut some of that away if we need to before I make the tray. Yeah, the planters with the tray attached are very nice, especially for smaller ones, because then if you want to pick it up and move it around, you don't have to worry about grabbing a tray to go with it. But the larger ones, definitely it's nice having a separate tray. Let's see. So now I need to, let's see, I don't think I have my tool over here to make the hole. I'm just going to grab my my tool to put the hole in the bottom. So I just got a hole punch tool here that I'm going to use to make the holes in the bottom, and to get them across from each other I'm going to put two. I'm just going to use 2 corners of the bat here, so might need might could have used a little bit bigger tool, but I think that'll be fine. Like I said, I think I got a little bit too much clay here for the tray, so I'm going to flatten that out and then cut a little bit of that off. No sense having a giant tray that you don't need. So some of that clay, it's pretty thick down there at the base. I could have used that in the pot, but that one right now is 7 inches tall and about 8 1/4 wide. The previous ones I made were about 8 inches tall and probably 9 1/2 inches wide. But of course, that with the previous one I made, I have to make a separate piece as the tray. But that's, like I said, just has the holes down in the tray there and there that go from the inside to the tray. Alright, we'll make one more of those, and then I'll make some platter bowls. I'd already made a run of planters when I first started throwing for this firing. But then I figured I need a few more, because make sure I have a good selection of planters for people for the spring. So normally if I make a bunch of something, like if I had 20 or 30 clay balls here ready to make a bunch of planters with the trays attached, you know, the first one might be like that one where I leave too much clay for the tray, but then by the time I make 2 or 3 of them, I kind of get in a rhythm and know exactly how much clay to leave down there to make the tray size that I need, and they'll get so that I'm not really leaving too much clay there or wasting any or having to cut any off. And if anybody has any questions about anything that's pottery related that does not have to do with what I'm making, that's fine too. If you got questions that you'd like to ask, I don't mind talking about other things that are pottery related as well. Well, here's one from a newbie. Okay, I learned to pull using a knuckle finger sponge on the outside. I've noticed many professional potteries using a claw method, the left hand the way you do. Okay, yeah, I do. I do that pull really only for my first pull, um, and it's not definitely not necessary, but it does help me with that first pull. I guess maybe I'll use one of my 4-pound clay balls and make another planter, and I can talk about that pull, because I think if I go to making platter bowls, I won't be using that pull nearly as much. Um, but yeah, and I recently I pulled just about everything with my fingertip, uh, and I kind of discovered recently that I kind of had forgotten that on larger pots it actually was more beneficial to use my knuckle for the first couple pulls after that claw pull, to move more clay. Now, granted, that's only because I was throwing larger things. I was throwing some 6-pound pieces, and those I needed to move larger amounts of clay in a single pull, and that actually helped me to do that by using my knuckle instead of my fingertip, and kind of keep control over all the clay better while doing that. So let's see. And you said looks like a way to move more efficiently move larger amounts of clay. Yeah. So I'll use one of these 4-pound clay balls and make another planter or something taller, and we'll go over that. Have I ever fired a primitive kiln? I have not. I have friends that have done pit firing and such, but I have never even been been to help with one or been a part of one in any way. So I think it's fascinating the results that people get, but I have not done it then. You saw I put a little bit of slip underneath this bat. That helps with having this bat stick down to the wheel. Right now it's still kind of wobbly, but by the time I center this clay ball and open it up, that slip is going to kind of spread out and act like a glue that will hold this bat down while I'm throwing this. That way, if I do want to do some pretty aggressive pulling, I'm not going to lift that bat up off the wheel. This bat was a little loose too. You can hear it knocking there when I go to center. What kind of clay do I use? This is kind of a blend because I had some reclaim and I had my fresh clay from here. Starworks is a company right near me that makes clay, and they make North Carolina based clays, and so most of this is their Oka medium blend, and then I had a bunch of reclaim that I mixed in with it that I had processed. So I'm just going to make a vase of some kind. So the first thing I do is, after opening the clay ball, let's see, let's get this in a little closer. There we go. After I get the clay ball opened, I'm going to undercut it with my hands like this so that I can create a spot to start doing that pull from. So I kind of cup under with my pinkies on each side and get that undercut there. Then, yeah, most people are pulling with their right hand, so to do it with the left, it might seem a little uncomfortable, but I really do. I just kind of grab it like that as a claw, but then I use my right hand for adding water with the sponge, but then I'm also kind of like, my knuckles kind of rest on it and push with it as well. But I'm more focused on this pull of just kind of, yeah, evening out what's here. I'm not trying to move a whole lot of clay as much as I am trying to even it out. And if I know I'm going to make something tall, I want to bring this clay back into the center a little bit, because right now it's kind of going out. And if I want to make something taller and skinnier, I want to start moving that clay in. So I'm going to make sure I have the water going here, and then I'm just pushing in. So I kind of stopped halfway. You can kind of see right there, this is where the pressure is being applied. It's right across the palm of my hand and my thumb, and then on the inside, and I'm kind of pushing, and on this hand I just kind of helping push with that part of my hand there, and then I'm pinched together and squeezing up. But I didn't get it really thin. I'm just kind of evening that clay out and getting it moving towards the center of the wheel. And now what I'll do here is I'm going to do a knuckle pull. So I'm going to actually start pulling with my index finger knuckle curved like that, and I've got the sponge in my hand to kind of keep the clay wet, and I'm going to push in at the base with that and then pull up, and then on the inside I've just got the same fingers, kind of these 2 or 3 fingers here that I'm going to support it with on the inside. Let's see if I move this over here. Let's see if you can see. There we go. Now maybe you can see what I'm going to do with my other hand. So now I'm going to use my knuckle. I'm going to push in at the base, and I'm still trying to pull towards the center of the wheel to keep that cylinder from getting too wide. And also, the tendency that most people have is to start pulling really good at the base, and then they keep that same pressure all the way through, and then this top half of the cylinder gets really thin because they're using the same amount of pressure down here where it's thicker as they do up here where it's thinner, and that ends up making the top of the cylinder really thin compared to the bottom, and then it gets out of whack and it gets harder to make something taller. So I kind of, as I get out of that thicker area, I kind of let off and I follow through all the way with the pull, but I don't squeeze as hard, because I want to leave some of that thickness in the top that I can even out. So now if I did that again, push in, lifting up, now I'm starting to let off just a little bit, just following through with that pull, but not nearly as much pressure at the top as I did at the bottom. Alright, now that I've got 2 pulls done with my knuckle, now I need to do a bit more of a refining pull. So now I'm going to end up pulling with my fingertips. So it's mainly my middle fingertip that I'm pushing in with, but these other 2 kind of help support it. Just going to drip some water down in there and then I run the sponge down the outside as well to kind of wet the whole outside. And then I keep it in my hand. I don't push against the sponge, I just have it above my hand to keep the clay wet. and then I push in right above that with my finger tip. The key to also pulling a tall, skinnier cylinder is matching the speed of the wheel with how fast your hands are moving upward. Because if you go too slow, then you have a chance of pulling it too thin or it getting wobbly while you're pulling. And if you go too fast, you're going to get that kind of like swirl or ripple in the clay because you've gone faster up than the wheel was going around. If that makes sense. So now I could probably pull that again. It's right now I've got almost a 12-inch cylinder out of the 4 pounds. I'm gonna reach in there and see, and I think I can probably do another vertical pull. Yeah. So there, now I have, what is that, 12, yeah, over 14 inches high with the 4 pounds. Barely fits on the screen there. So anyway, now what I'm going to do is start shaping. First I'm going to clean that water out of the bottom. Because basically once I start shaping, I don't need a lot of water. I just let the kind of like slime that's on my hand be the on the inside. And the inside's still wet from, like damp from when I did pull it. The only thing I don't want to happen is where now when I reach in my forearm, it gets tighter around the very top here, and I don't want that. So sometimes I'll add just a little bit of water just on the inside of the rim up here so that my forearm will glide along that part. But if I wanted to go to the base here and then start shaping. And another key to shaping is to do it gradually. Even if I do want to make a really wide shape, I don't want to do that all in one pull. You got to stretch that clay. You can't, can't make it move it too fast. Also, because you can see right there, I started to get a little bit of a wobble, and I can mitigate that if I don't stress it too much. Alright, we'll try to close this top in here and kind of make a jug that I can make another face jug out of or something like that. So I use my sponge to add the water so that I don't have water dripping all the way down the piece. I think that's counterintuitive to have all that water dripping down and soaking into the clay. Or if I can just add it up here where I need it, it really helps me. And this, to be able to close in the top of something like this is very, that's something that definitely takes a lot of practice, but that begins with leaving the thickness. When I was doing those first couple pulls and I didn't pull too much thickness out of that very top, that's where you have the ability to then close in the top. Number one, having a centered, well-thrown cylinder and pot, but then also leaving some thickness there so that you have clay to work with, so that when you go to close it in like this, it doesn't buckle. This normally doesn't happen this well, even on without live streaming, but I heard Ben Owen say one time, if you can make a jug or a bottle like this, and you don't have to cut off the top to true it up, then you know it was a really well thrown pot. And so I've always kept that as a measure of, like, I'm not putting that pressure on myself that I have to throw every piece without using a needle tool to true the top up. But if I can throw a piece and I don't have to use a needle tool to even out the top, then I knew that was a really well thrown piece. So, and it does make it easier, because now I don't have wobbles in the pot. I don't have to worry about trimming the top off and making it, evening it up. I'm going to put some grooves in that neck just to give it some character. I'm going to use the back end of my needle tool just where it's rounded to do some grooves in the neck. Start like in the middle, and then do one above it and one below it. Alright, there we go. And now we have a 4-pound jug that is a little over 12 inches tall, maybe 12 and a half. Let's see. I'm going to move my camera back to the other side so I can actually see my comments as well. Let's see. Glad to see you back. Thanks for... Yeah, Mary, we've all made our share of mud pies trying to figure new things out. I had a piece I threw yesterday that I just, after I got the cylinder halfway pulled, I did not like it, or maybe even 3/4 pulled. It was just wobbly, and I know enough to know that cylinder was just going to continue to be a problem, and more of a problem than it was worth. So I just took it off the wheel and started over. And so that's one good thing about experience, is learning to know when you're beat, and just be like, all right, I'm starting over. So, let's see. Do you ever use ribs to move the clay? Yeah, I do. That's a long one. Concrete, canvas, cats, and cuisine. Anyway, I do use a rib to move clay. Mostly when I'm making shorter items. If I'm making cereal bowls or things like that, I will use a rib instead of my hand on the outside to pull with, and I just push out against the rib, and I kind of turn the rib a little bit like this, and I can grab clay with that. I do that, but not really with anything very tall. Thank you, Sally. How did your commission for the 40-inch planter jar go? Thanks for asking, Sherry, but that piece cracked in the bisque firing, so I got to make another one. So I had a beautiful pot. I still have it sitting outside. I think one thing I need to do is use a different clay body. That one was going to be fired in my gas kiln, and so I was using my gas-fired clay for that. And I think I need to use a clay body that has a bit more grog in it, and then spray a slip on the outside of my gas-fired clay to give me the color that I want, or that they are requesting. So that's so far that's how that has gone. So hello from Russia. Like how easy you throw. Thanks for sharing. You're welcome. Enjoying some tea in your Matthew Kelly mug. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate your support on Patreon. It's been a long time. I really appreciate it. Yeah, Sherry. Oh no, exactly. Trust me. it was an oh-no for me. And the customer was actually back here in December or November, November, yeah, and I got to see them and show them the piece and talk about it. And so they loved the piece that I had made, just obviously being cracked, it was no good. So, you know. Hey there.
Hey, you all right?
Yeah, I'm doing a live stream.
Are you? Go right and keep right on doing it.
How are you doing?
Pretty good.
I didn't mean to ignore your text that you sent me a little while back.
No problem. I was sent on a mission, but if you wait for later, it needs to. Go ahead. Have at it.
Now I was gonna make, and you're welcome to come over and watch too. Not that you haven't seen me throw before, but. Yeah, I had planned to do some live streams because my editing videos takes a long time, and between now and the next time we're gonna fire, I didn't have enough time that I thought to make videos and do editing, so I had told in my last video that I was going to do some live streams. And so today I planned one, and here we are.
It's fun to watch.
Are did I tell you the dates for the next one already?
No.
Oh, it's going to be that first weekend in March.
Cool.
So if you're available.
I'm ready.
Richard here helped with the last one, and going to help again. So
look forward to it.
You going to have pieces other than refires this time?
Yes.
All right, good.
Yeah. yeah. I've got not many, but I have a few.
That's all right.
So that's good.
It's actually kind of funny, or not funny, it's fortuitous that you're here and I'm making a platter bowl, because many of you on YouTube probably know the platter bowls that I make. I've made several videos about it, and then in the recent year or two, I started doing the ones where I carved the rim on them. And the first time I did that, I had probably at least half of them crack right where I did the carving. And Richard that's here takes a class at one of our community colleges locally, and I was down there doing a demonstration, and I told them about it. And Richard said, he said, you were an engineer, right?
Yeah.
And he said, I think I might have a possible solution for your cracking issue. And so he said, if you would take something round, either a drill bit or a needle tool, and start that hole where you're going to carve from, because I use an X-Acto blade to do my carving on those, which maybe if one of these, stiffen up one of these, maybe we'll do some carving today. I can show you that. But that makes a really sharp point where I do some of my carving. And he said, that might be your problem. He said, if you started with a round hole, it would give the clay a bit more resilience to that cracking. And so I tried it, and it seemed like it worked. Since then, I've still had a couple crack, but not nearly as much. And so I think last firing, I don't even know if I might have had one crack out of all the ones I made.
That's
so.
decent. That's
Oh
decent.
yeah. Compared to half.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Got a lot of work to do that carving and then see it go away.
You looking for something specific?
Yeah, I'm looking. I'll just look. I'm just looking for actually the pie baker dishes.
Oh, the apple pie for two?
Yeah.
The small ones?
Don't have any?
Yeah, well, you can look around in here, and if not, there's some stuff out back too.
Okay.
So feel free to wander around and look.
You keep doing what
All
you're
right.
doing. My wife gave ours away.
Oh man, gave it away. No.
Because I didn't get pie the other day. Good luck up here. I'll go up downstairs.
All right. Yeah, so what I was talking about a second ago about carving is a lot of times I'll come back after they stiffen a little bit and I'll do carving on this flat part of the rim around here to give a decorative look. And also a lot of these I make so that they can hang on the wall, and with just a straight rim or even with a fluted rim, the rim is just continuous, and by carving it, it gives some kind of relief where you see like the wall color, you know, showing through where you've got that carving. It gives a really neat look. I could show you a couple over here on my wall, but for now that's, and then on this one I'll explain. I was just in the middle of throwing that, so I just went by. I'll kind of do some explanation on this one so you can see. Hey Gene. Well, you get to load in that kiln. Yeah, you can watch later. This will go on YouTube. So, not that you need to watch. You know what you're doing. My buddy Gene Arnold from here in North Carolina is a potter. Known him for a long time. Why did you reverse the wheel direction? That is a great question, Rebecca. I made a whole video about that, but I'll explain as well. I have a video on my channel called Throwing in Reverse. Sorry for the question, but do you do lives with the burning of pots? Yeah, as far as firing, yeah, I have live streams of firing the pots, if that's what you mean. Hey Preston, it's going well. So in my video of throwing in reverse, I was talking about, and I won't rehash everything, you can go watch that video, but I was throwing platter bowls like this, and I've always seen people throw, and then when they want to use a rib, they kind of come on the inside of them here so they can continue to use their dominant hand and shape like this. Or they switch and use their non-dominant hand on the inside and shape like this on the inside. And I have a friend in North Carolina that, the name of the town just slipped my mind. You wondering why I'm, but anyway, I was watching him throw one day live on Instagram. Ron Philbeck, he's in Shelby, there we go. And he reversed the wheel. He has a treadle wheel that he throws on, so it's a bit easier to reverse the wheel on that, but he started throwing in reverse to shape a plate from the inside with his dominant hand on the inside, and I was like, you can't do that. I'm like, that just, you know, and he made it look so easy, and I thought, well, dang, I need to try that. I thought, there ain't no way it's going to be that easy. And now, granted, I have lots of experience, and it took me a couple tries to get the hang of it, but now that I do, it's like, oh man, it makes it so much easier to do the shaping of something from the inside like that when I reverse the wheel. So hey Brad, I'm so glad to hear that. Sarah, welcome. And I also have a video on throwing wide, shallow bowls. It is also kind of like talks about this technique of pulling out wide like I'm doing there rather than pulling up and then laying the piece over. So you can go watch that one as well. When it comes to platter bowls, those two videos kind of go hand in hand. I also recently made a couple serving platters that were kind of a hybrid between this and like a wide flat platter, so they had a much wider base and then but still had that sloped edge to them with the wide rim. I got a couple of those sitting here on the rack that I can show you. So now I've pulled the piece as much as I'm going to pull it, and I can show you kind of what that shape looks like right now. So it's just a wide, shallow shape. I'm going to come back and put the foot on it right there at the base. I'm going to use my rib and form that foot, and because on these I form that foot so that I have a place to wrap the wire around so that they can hang. And so First, I'm gonna form that foot, and I do that with my rib. I just kind of stick the pointy end of this rib underneath, and I kind of use my thumb on top to form that. The bottom side of it, and then I switch the rib around, and I use this 90-degree angle on my rib to stick in above that to then make the crevice where the wire will actually go once they're finished. And I'm pretty sure I've shown that on the video as well. So if you go back and watch those. Now if I take it off the wheel again and I show you, now you can see that that foot is formed there at the base. All right. This was 4 pounds of clay for this. I've got a 9-pound and a 16-pound platter bowl over there. I've got other sizes. Maybe I'll even make a larger one. Maybe I'll put the 2 of these 4s together and make an 8. I'm gonna use my sponge and wet the outside of the clay, because once I reverse the wheel, I'm gonna want to use my left hand as my guide as I'm shaping from the inside, but I need it to glide across the outside. Now I'm gonna reverse the wheel, and like I said, that allows me to now work on this side of the wheel, and the wheel's spinning in the opposite direction, so that now instead of working on this side, I can work on this side of the pot. And I use one of these mud tools, curved ribs, to do that. I'll start at the rim and push it out and down, and then I just work from there down towards the base. Like I said, I'm supporting it on the outside with my left hand, but you can still see, to keep myself steady, I've got my thumb touching this rib on the inside. Now obviously if that gets much bigger, I wouldn't be able to do that all the way down, but for smaller pieces, anytime I can keep my hands touching, it'll keep myself more steady, so that I can make a better piece. And now that I've got that nice curve down the inside, and what got me started doing that, number one, is it looks nice to have that nice curve all the way down through, but also the way I do my peacock design with the slip and the glaze is that the smooth surface allows the glaze to kind of run around the slip and give me that look that I want. Now I'm going to go back in the normal direction, add a little bit of water to the center just to make the swirl that I put in the center. And then now I'm going to add a little bit of water to the rim and just down inside and outside of the rim, so that I can lay that lip over about like an inch or inch and a half down, and then come back with my rib, supporting it underneath with my left hand, and then laying that over. And then I come back and shape just from that line as well, down just on the inside just a little bit. And now I have that, and that's the profile view. And as far as size, that is probably 13 to 13 and a half inches wide. I've got 12-inch rollers, so sorry. I've got longer ones, but they're out of reach at the moment. Have you ever tried using large terracotta planter dishes for reclaiming clay? No, that's a really good idea, though. Yeah, anything like that, terracotta or obviously plaster is great for that. Currently, it's my first time ever doing this, but I made a large clay drying bed just out of a wood frame, and I had some chain link fence that I put inside of it, supported with some other wood slats. And then I put bed sheets in there, and I mixed up the clay and poured the clay in to kind of like a slurry to pour that in to dry that, because I had a whole lot, and I still have a whole lot of reclaim, probably like over 1,000 pounds of clay that I'll get out of my reclaim by the time I finished. So and I do plan on making a video about that. I didn't on my first run just because I wanted to see how this was going to work. And then after my first run, I'm going to make a video on how to do that, at least the way that I'm doing it. So let's see. What wire do you use? Oh yeah, definitely. If you're ever close to Seagrove, definitely give me a shout. Ensika, yeah, I would love to go to Ensika at some point, but I have the pottery show that I'm gonna do in March is always the same weekend as Ensika, and so that's where I'll be for this year. We got to go set up on Friday. It starts Friday night and then Saturday, and that's in Hickory. And I know Ensika a couple times has been really close to my house, but I just haven't been able to make it. So, but yes, if you're close by or planning a trip, send me an email or a phone call. Let me know, and as long as I'm around, I'll be happy to have you come by. All right, let's see. Let's maybe let's do a. You want to see me make a large, like an 8-pound platter bowl? I could use one more of those. I'll put 2 of these 4-pound clay balls together and we'll do that. Did you have any luck finding anyone?
I found one.
You did?
I did. I'm going to get more than one, but I found one.
Is it warped?
Is that
It looks pretty dusty.
Well, it's all right. The dusty part goes away.
Yeah, I know. You can wash it and the dusty part goes, oh yeah, it's got a little, but that won't affect even the cooking, but it must have had a spot in it when it got fired.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Cool.
Yeah, just take that with you.
It's got, it's got carrots.
You still got the recipe?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No problem. Don't need that.
I didn't know if she gave away the recipe card with it.
No. She actually put it in the, she did give away the original, but we're good.
Gotcha.
She's got it down there.
All right.
Carry on.
All right. Well, yeah, I'll, like I said, first, we'll load the kiln that first, whatever I think it's like the 6th, maybe the 5th and 6th that we load the kiln, okay. I think it is.
Yeah.
And then fire like 6th, 7th, and 8th, I think it is.
And what about splitting wood and stuff like that? Cleaning shelves. I mean, there's a lot to go on out there.
Yeah, I've been meaning to get back to you about
Just
that.
text me when it's convenient.
All right.
Talk
Good to see you, Richard. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
And the obviously, I think I already told you, but the piece for the stove. Well, actually, no, I still got the old one in there, but thank you again for fixing that. And if I ever need another one,
glad to do it.
Yeah.
Anytime. Electronics is
that's your area, right?
Easy, yeah, easy. Okay.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I'm glad you found one, because that's what I guess that needs to be on my list, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, because there's not enough back there, I don't believe.
I might have a couple at gallery somewhere, but I definitely need to make some.
All right, man.
See
Talk to
ya.
you later.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
So I'm gonna make it an 8-pound piece, but I'm gonna, and I probably would do this anyways, but I'm gonna center it 4 pounds at a time here. Any advice for getting your work out there as an artist? Well, I think there's lots of ways to do that. Obviously, social media is these days is a great way to do that. Although it can be flooded just as much as anything else, and I know several artists that don't want to do anything with social media, and I understand that. And if I had a choice, well, I do have a choice. If I wasn't using social media for my business, I would use it way less. Let me say that. So, yeah, to be honest with you, if it wasn't for my social media, though, between YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, I would have way less business than I do now. So that doesn't mean it's not possible to do without it. But if you make nice work and you make engaging, exciting, interesting content, that will bring people to you. But that's the side that, to be honest with you, this is the side that I struggle with the most, is because, like, I love making pots and I feel like I'm pretty good at it, but then when it comes to like making content, I'm like I'm way less interested in trying to figure out how I can make really good content than I am just making more pots. So that's a struggle. It probably is for most artists. Um, Although there are some really good at making content, and to be honest with you, sometimes it makes the people that are good at the art upset that the people that are really good at making content that might not be as good as they are more popular because they made engaging, interesting content that people love to watch. So, well, thank you, Brad. I mainly mean that my I don't uh, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about content, and my content is more just I'm just gonna be what I'm gonna be, and I don't. Uh, Let me put it this way: I think that most content, be Instagram, YouTube, all the above, they're entertainment based, and figuring out how to be entertaining as well as good at what you're doing as a craft can be a challenge. And some people that I know really well, don't want to have to fight that battle, and I get it because there are definitely days and weeks and months that I don't want to fight that battle either, so I don't. Which is why sometimes, I'll go a couple months without making a video because it's like, well, I've got other things to do, or I don't feel like making content, and I don't want to feel like I have to make content. So, yeah, there's that. But then again, too, I also have members of my Patreon, so that I feel some obligation to for creating content because they're there supporting me for the fact that I do create content on social media. So thank you, Sally. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm definitely not trying to be anybody that I'm not because I can't. I decided that early on. I'm like either they like the content for what it is or they don't, and I'm not trying to please everybody to make my content more engaging. That doesn't mean I can't try my best to make good, interesting content. I just have to balance that with all the other things that I actually have to do that really actually earn me a living. Now, granted, you could make an argument that making good, engaging content helps you earn a living, and it does. Um, I have a board of push pins up here, pots that I've sent all over America and all over the world. It's only because of content on social media, because most of those people would not know who I was if it wasn't for that. So um, it definitely helps. So all this stemmed from a question of what's a good way to get your work out there as an artist, and so I think social media is a great way. Um, if you don't want to do that, then you have to find. You just have to get really skilled at whatever you're doing, uh, and get your work out there to be seen. Get either in some galleries, do some shows, do lots of shows. Find ways where people can find your work and enjoy it, you know, that kind of thing. In order to get to the base of this one, I'm going to take my splash pan off because it's getting a little difficult. When I do these large ones, I'll throw the main part of it, and then I'll take that front part of my splash pan off so that I can reach in underneath to form the foot. Otherwise, I can't really reach in here without getting my hands in all kinds of a bind. All right. Alright, so wet the outside, reversing the wheel. I'm going to do the same thing just on a larger scale now. And tried to leave a little bit more thickness in the body of this so that as I shape it, it can support itself. The main thing is I start out by trying to pull the walls fairly. They're at an angle, but they're straight. So I try not. I don't throw a curved wall to start with. I throw a wall that's straight at an angle. If you know what I'm saying, so that it's structurally stronger that way. Until I get to this very last part where it has very little water in it, and now there's no water on the inside. There's just a little bit of water on the outside for my hand to glide, and then I can shape it with my dominant hand on the inside and use my left hand here to support it on the outside as I'm doing the shaping. And I definitely think it's better to shape from the top down like that, because if I want to push this wall at the top out, it's better to do that first, because if I start down here and then I shape up, all that where you start the curve down at the bottom has to bear the stress of that top wall being pushed out further while that's already curved down there. So I feel it's better to go from the top down. All right, we got that curved really well. Alright, now, if you want to know how large this one is, I will have to grab a different ruler. Let's see, there's my large one. Alright, this one is like about 17 1/4 wide. And, yeah, about probably 3.5 inches tall, something like that. Diagonal. There you go, Preston. Thank you. I struggled so hard. It's a straight wall, but it's at an angle. Diagonal. Yes. Thank you. Preston, you're welcome. Yeah, if you're going to make work, you definitely have to find somewhere for it to go over an amount of time. You either have to start giving it away or selling it, because you will run out of room really fast. So, anyway, so there's an 8-pound platter bowl. You can see the profile there. And that. All right, let me move this. I'll grab a platter bowl that has the carving done on the rim so that you can see what I was talking about. Most of you probably know, but all right, here's a finished platter bowl with the carved rim, so you can see there the carving that I've done around the rim. You can see the back side with the little foot, and there's the wire that I put on it so that it can hang. This one's from my last wood firing, wood fire number 12. So that way when it's hanging on the wall, like I said, you can see the difference contrast behind my shirt there. You can see that's what you'll see behind the platter bowl as it's hanging on the wall. You'll see that. Oh, now I'm getting it all dirty, but anyway. Let's see. When I went to visit Seagrove, didn't know of you. It wasn't until later I discovered your videos that I would have looked you up. Oh, well, if you're ever back, definitely give me a shout. Let's see. Learned a lot from you. Trained with David Pinto here in Jamaica. The rest I've learned. Oh, you're welcome, Sally. I'm very thankful, and I know. Trust me, I'm not being down on myself about content. I just had to create boundaries mentally, especially to think, okay, well, I got to keep first things first. From the very beginning, I had to kind of think, okay, I'm a potter who makes YouTube videos. I'm not a YouTuber who makes pottery, and there's a difference. Pottery is the focus because number one, that's what I enjoy the most. Number two, that's what makes me a living. Yeah, I'm not going to be a YouTube personality in the sense that that's what I'm focused on. So, and hello from San Francisco. Welcome, buddy. Oh, buddy, are you the one that visited here that did the concrete countertop stuff? Let me get a sip of water here. While we're at a little stopping point here, I'm gonna give you guys a little tour of what I have made so far. Well, it's not all of it, but I've got some. There's the planters I was making earlier. Some of the ones I just made. There's the platter bowl I just made. Here's a couple of the kind of like serving platters I made that are a lot more shallow than normal, but have a wider base. That one I carved the rim of, as you can see. A really large one over here that I put some white slip on the inside. Like I said, you can see those I did put on and trim just a little bit, just to define that foot a little bit more, so that if they are going to be used to hang, that they have the ability to. Under here we have a couple really large putter bowls that I have carved the rim of already. So that's I think a 9 pound, and that one I think was about, or no, this one was 12, and that one was 16, I believe. So these are drying really slow. I do need to pull a wire under them, and then I'll come back and soften this edge just a little bit where I carved those. But this is what I was talking about earlier. I start in this point here with a drill bit or a needle tool to make that hole round to start with, and then I carve from that hole out instead of carving down to that point to have a sharp point. But I need to remember to pull a wire under those. They're getting to the point now where they need it. Face jugs, if you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen some of those because y'all helped me name those. I got a jug with a cabin scene in it back there. I've got, my daughter was out here earlier. She made a little Macy dog. Got some squared bottles there that I'm going to side fire. I've got some sectional vases there. These here had a 6 pound bottom, and then the next day I came back and put a top on. These were some 6 pound bottles that I made here. That was all in one piece. And then there's another face jug and a cabin jug under that plastic there. Some other stuff there that's got some slip decoration on it. And then I have some planters and a few other already made. Aaron, yes. Are these for your next wood firing? Everything you see, everything the light touches is for my next wood firing. All right, let's see here. let's see. Do you have any preference of what clay body you throw with? Preston, I do. I definitely. I found that I like smoother clay bodies. Um, like a lot of gas-fired clay, I love to throw way more than I do a lot of wood-fired clay bodies. I can do more with them because of the smoothness of the clay, not a lot of grog. But that doesn't always work out when you're going to be wood firing. So there's some compromise to be made, and there's some clay bodies that Star Works makes that are still fairly smooth that work in a wood-fired kiln. So let's see. And I answered Aaron's question. All right, cool. All right, we have been an hour and 15 minutes. Anything else that you guys would like to see made? Wish I could do some wood-fired pieces, but California and fires don't mix. Yes, Preston. Yeah, depending on where you live. I know there's people that live in the desert also that have that issue. You know, fire bans and all that kind of stuff, or don't have much wood to burn. You know, if in certain places you live. So, well, maybe you'll have to plan to come to Seagrove sometime and wood fire. It wouldn't be a cheap trip for you, but anyway, let's see. Yeah, none of these are stiff enough yet to do any carving on. But I do have some 4-pound clay balls left. If there's anything, 2 more left. What do you want to see me make? What about that? How about you show us how you throw your bottles? Those tall, skinny ones that I just had over there? I can do that. Or the square ones. Which one? Or just a yes, I guess. Right? Tall, skinny. Okay. It's funny, you put yes before I said that, probably. Alright, the tall, skinny ones. Well, this is 4 pounds. It'll still make a tall, skinny bottle, but pretty much I'll start the same way I started with that jug that I made, which means I need to put some clay under the bat after I've already stuck the clay ball to it, but it'll work. Twisted texture piece. Yeah, I could do that as well. Watched your video of you throwing lids for your jars last night. It was really older videos. Yeah, well, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So, yeah, for throwing these tall, skinny bottles, the main thing there, the reason I started making these is because there's always people that want pieces for a mantle, for a fireplace mantle, but there's not a lot of depth on a mantle, but you need height, and so it's like, okay, well, what if I can make something tall and skinny that would look good for that purpose? And so I started making some bottles like that, and I thought, oh, I haven't really seen these before. And then it was when I was wood firing with my friend Joseph, and then he had a tall, skinny bottle that I saw later. And I was like, oh, what's that from? He's like, oh, that's like a. He mentioned something. I think it was like German or something like that, and it was really old. And I was like, oh, yep, just proved to me once again, it's not new. Might be new to me, but it's not new. Everything's been made before at some point. Have you ever thrown a moon jar? Yeah, I have. I've got a couple pieces around here that would kind of be considered like some form of a moon jar. I haven't really made any in 2 sections the way a lot of those guys do, but how much clay do you leave on the bottom? Oh, at the very bottom, I didn't gauge that one at all, but I probably leave like a quarter of an inch. Most of my pieces I don't cut free from the bat, so I don't have to leave a lot of extra clay. Most of them I just let them dry on the bat. The platter bowls are one of the only things that I actually cut free from the bat, so that the bottoms will dry a bit more flat. If they're going to dry slow, like those platter bowls, and they have a wide base, if they dry too slow like that, the bottom will kind of bow and will be bumped up in the middle because of the way it releases from the bat. So like I said, the main key with these bottles is to have a tall, skinny cylinder to start with, and try to pull it, you know, kind of as straight and tall as I can. And then I don't really do much shaping to it afterward, but other than at the top, I should say. So I'm going to leave that extra clay at the top there. I'm not even going to finish that pull. I'm just going to pinch it in because I want that clay to be there for when I go to shape the top. So now with that 4 pounds of clay, oh, I just jammed that in the side. I've got a 15-inch cylinder. I just stuck my ruler into the side of the clay, in the side of the pot. Alright. I should have a sponge on a stick. It'll make this a little bit easier, but I'm going to reach down there and get the water out of the bottom. Wasn't much there, but there was enough. Oh, you can't even barely see the whole thing. It's funny, what I see on my phone, y'all actually see more than what I see on my phone. So, but there we go. Now for these, if I have a long straight angle like that I need to do, I'm going to grab a larger rib. So I'm going to use this, whatever that is, probably a 6-inch rib here. You can see it's starting to grab my forearm there, so I'm going to add a little bit of clay just inside the rim so that it glides a little bit better on my forearm. I like to have a slight taper on these bottles, kind of all the way from the base all the way up to where it starts to form the top. Sometimes it's more straight up and down than it is a taper, but something like that. And then I take this top 2 or 3 inches there, and then I'll form the top. Shrink rate of this clay is probably, I've always guessed it's around like 12.5%, 13%, somewhere in there. A lot of times after I start to taper in, I want to do a pull up after I taper in as well. Depending on, you can see there's a little bit of unevenness there in the top. So I'll probably have to cut that off here in a minute. But like I said, I'd like to stress to you to use your sponge to add the water to the top like that, rather than just dumping water or picking it up with your hand or with your sponge and dripping it down there, because then that water is going to run all the way down the side. Rather than just staying right where you need it. Just using my rib. Let me know when I come back, if you guys can hear me. Alright, I'm back, but I don't know if y'all My other stream hasn't caught back up. Oh, there it goes. Hey. All right. We're back. Mm. Macy's having a field day out there, barking at somebody. Probably one of the kids. You're welcome, Sarah. All right, there's that. All right, I've got the other 4-pound clay ball, but on a textured piece, I don't know that I need 4 pounds. It'd be a little bit of a challenge probably to throw something that large and textured. The square one, I can do the square one. Let's see. And then maybe we'll end with a textured piece if Preston holds on. I think that's who asked about that. All right. All right, we got the last 4-pound clay ball. We'll do a squared bottle. And then I'll grab maybe like 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds, and do the textured one. You talking about like the twisted mugs, yeah, or twisted pieces? I'm assuming. So the squared one, I'm going to do very similar to the one I just did. Maybe leave a little bit more clay in the walls and in the top for that. Making me work hard? No, I'm making myself work hard. I gotta be ready for my wood firing. So I definitely need to take a break from this. This clay it's not real super stiff, but it's definitely a little stiffer than it's definitely stiffer than what I would use for other things, mugs and bowls and stuff like that. So might find some softer clay and switch to some smaller items for a little bit. Give my arms a break. Oh, I didn't put slip under this bat. Just realized. Let me pull that. You saw the had to slow down. That bat was about to come up off the wheel. We'll do one more pull and then we'll do the Hi, Justice. Yeah, I'm still live streaming.
Yeah. I wanted to know.
Okay. I'm gonna be done soon.
Okay.
Alright, so this one's a bit wider and a little bit thicker. Ooh, about messed it up there. Just want to straighten up this wall a little bit first before I... Alright, so there I've got the... Alright, then what I do, I have square bats, so this kind of helps me because I just use the 4 points of the bat to help me square the piece. What I do is I stand up and I'll just have the square pointed away from my right hand, and then I'll just point towards that square with my middle finger and then just pull up on the inside, try to make a vertical line all the way from where that point is and just go straight up with it. So, and that'll be pointing towards the camera as well. So I just go all the way to the bottom. I'm going to push out and then pull up all the way to where I stop doing that straight line on the, or when I straighten the wall, turn it, go to the next point. Maybe go over them one more time just to kind of even out where they're... Alright, once I do that, I've got them all pulled to the same, and now I can take that top portion, add water back to it, and then pinch that in to make the top of the bottle. And sometimes I'll come back too and just try to flatten out right there at the top of the wall. There we go. Now I got a squared bottle, and I like to fire these laying on their side because it just gives a really neat effect. And oh, I need to make a little foot. Let me do that, or at least undercut it just a little bit. see, that one ended up probably about 13.5 to 14 inches tall. I didn't measure that first bottle that I made. It's considerably taller. What is it? 16, about 16.25 for that first bottle. All right, now let me grab the last request and last pot of the day. All right. Got a couple leftover pieces from. There we go. That's probably only like 1.5 pounds, but that'll work for this. Yeah, Tegan, you definitely should try that squaring up a piece. It doesn't have to be that large. Start with something smaller. You just got to be able to reach your hand inside, so that's the tough part. Oh yeah, old-fashioned milk bottle, yeah. Yeah, firing it on the side, we either put seashells filled with wadding, or I make little wad, kind of like pointy wad pieces that fire on its side, and so it has. Here, I'll show you one. This is the first one that I squared and fired on its side. So you can see there, those little spots that's where the wadding was touching the piece. And so it was laying in the kiln like this. I put blue ash glaze up here as well as some colored glass. And then that melted down around like that. Even got a little cool little drip off the rim there. But so. All right. Here, we'll get y'all in closer for this one. Yeah, if you've seen the video on the twisted ones, you know that I make a really, it's kind of hard to see what all I'm doing there, but I'm just going to make a skinny, extremely thick cylinder. But I need to pinch in at the base there and get that in to where the rest of it is. I have found that the twisting of these works better with a little bit softer clay. So this one probably isn't going to twist really extreme. If you have softer clay, it's a little bit harder to do, but you get a little bit better twist with softer clay. And then this is the tool that I use mainly to do the carving with. And I mark myself a line here and here where to start and where to stop at. And so then I just there's all the facets. Come back and smooth them up with my sponge. So a lot of down pressure and softer clay will make it twist a lot more, but for now it gets more deformed if you have softer clay too, so that's a tough part about it. But yeah, so it's kind of hard to believe that that started out as straight up and down facets and end up getting that twisted. But and now you can see why I leave that spot at the top. Especially if I was going to make a mug out of it, I want that little bit of a spot at the top to make a nice rim out of. The spot at the bottom where I don't carve is so that I can eventually come back and trim that and carve a foot in the bottom. And there you go. All right, let's see. Clean my hands off. All right. Thank you guys. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And yeah, I don't know when I'll be live streaming again yet, but I know I will be. Because as I said in my last video, I'm going to try to do live streams for the next few weeks because the process of editing is a bit slower and I don't really have much time for that at the moment. Probably not at all, but I just try to make time for it. So anyway, there's those bottles there. But anyway, thanks for being here. Appreciate all of the support. And yeah, give the video a like, comment, thumbs up, share it with people. You're all very welcome. Thank you all for being here. And we'll see you in the next one. All right. Bye.